Gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, the one and only David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA. Also, go ahead and check us out on battleviewer.com if you're not watching this on that already. It's a fantastic website. A lot of fun things happen on while during the stream and also while in between breaks. But like we said, like I'm trying to get catched on, it's always better on battleviewer.com. Now, David, why don't you tell the viewers what the question of the day is over on Twitter?
It is, do you think anyone will go undefeated this season? Now, I specifically chose this question for today because I thought a lot of undefeated teams could very well lose. So far, that is exactly true. Now, we have one left.
Yeah.
So if you're answering at this point and you chose anybody other than Refuse,
change your answer.
That's wrong. That's
Change it
wrong,
quick.
and it's okay. But now Refuse is the only team that can possibly go undefeated, and I am so stoked to see if they can pull this off. We've had great matches today.
Absolutely. If you guys are just tuning in, you just missed match number 3, Elevate versus #U, where we're kind of hyping as the Battle of the Titans, and #U doing a great job showing up 5-2, like we were saying, against Elevate. I'm doing a great job kicking Elevate out of that last undefeated team. And now, David, as you were saying, Team Refuse, the only ones left. Now, Noble coming off some tough losses here, but we're looking at Team Refuse needing to win this, to stay the course. What are your thoughts coming up for this next match?
I think Refuse is looking very good right now, and Noble is obviously looking good as well. But one thing, is not looking as good as they usually do. But one thing to note is they did just pick up Friction, who's formerly from my team, and perhaps he can turn this around. So let's go to rosters. I'm getting ahead of myself here talking about it already. As we've just said,
there he is.
Noble picked up Friction, and Refuse didn't change a thing. So obviously they are happy with the team that they have, and who can blame them because they are doing great so far. Now, the matches that Noble have played so far, they played Elevate. They lost 5-2. No shame in that. Elevate's a great team. And the other loss they had was against High Voltage, another 5-2.
Sure.
Again, no shame in that. Another great team. Their only other match they played was against Lamp. They 5-0'd them, so perhaps they can bring back some of that magic, some of that skill, and perhaps Friction will be playing and can help them boost to that, and they'll get it out, but I don't know if he'll be ready to play so far.
All right, well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, as we enter our 4th and final match of the evening, if Noble can dethrone Team Refuse or if Team Refuse can hold on tightly to this amazing victories they've been having. Let's get right into it, as our first map is going to be Mines with Noble on the defense, Team Refuse on the offense. David, what do we got for tanks?
Noble with 3 RU-251s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Interesting, strange lineup on defense. It can work. IS-3s, 2 of them, and 4 T-54s, and an MT-25 for Team Refuse. And to the great disappointment of so many fans, Friction is not playing so far today, and that's just sad. I wanted to see him play.
Okay. Now, let's talk about that. When you pick up another player from the rosters, obviously there's a lot of thought, a lot of preparation, a lot of study that goes into that. Why wouldn't you play him so soon, or your new members, immediately? Why maybe give him a time to rest, as Akula taking a little bit of damage on top of the hill there in that T-54?
I think we still have a little bit of time to talk about that because not a whole lot of stuff going out aside from Commander J taking some shots. Dodo running across as well. But we should now finally have a moment to talk about this. Perhaps Friction just didn't get time to practice with the team and get comfortable with him.
Okay.
And they're just putting him on so they can maybe try and work towards that. And that's really the only reason. If he had been practicing and he fit well with the team, and I know he wouldn't join a team that it was unlikely he would start on unless he just didn't have the time. Okay. But he's typically kind of a hardcore kind of guy. He likes to play a lot. He likes to put in a lot of preparation, a lot of time. That was largely his function on my team. A number of people made some sort of calls in the team, especially as we got later. We tried to move more and more into an ideal of everybody kind of making some decisions. But anytime only one person made decisions, it was pretty much Friction. And he did a boatload of work, and he would be a great addition to Noble. Maybe help turn around kind of the struggle that they're having right now. 10 seconds left on cap. Friction. Christian.
Oh, yeah, friction is happening between these two teams. As Akula finding Rude Awakening in that MT-25. A good little pickup there for Noble. The cap reset has come through, so Noble has, relieved that tension from the side. Dodoma getting a good amount of damage there. I believe it was onto Sublime Banana. And now Drogon Pro and Memory Leak going around Sublime and Cool Hammer obviously getting off the cap. Team Refuse decided not to go for that anymore as X-Soldier and Milton had pushed very far in those light tanks over the hill to take down their member. And now we have 4 members on top holding the hill on side of Noble. Team Refuse, David, looking at their kind of setup here as Drogon and Memory Leak are pushing in, deciding to kind of niche the cap right now. What are they looking for? I mean, obviously, hopefully, they're looking for this pickup here.
They've got most of what they're looking for right now. They can pick up Dodo if they're lucky, and they don't. They can pick up Dodo, but if they're lucky, they won't take too much damage in return. Right now, Sublime Banana and his partner there in the IS-3 don't need to do anything. That's Cool Hammer, team captain. Don't really need to do anything too crazy.
Ooh.
Drogon and Memory Leak running into each other, taking shots from the hill. That is not what they needed in this situation. 2 tanks down going for Dodo. They had no real reason to try and get that pick. All they had to do was put on cap pressure and make Noble come to them, but they're throwing a lead they had already, Refuse an otherwise great position, starting to make matters worse for themselves.
Absolutely. And Noble again having 7 tanks against just the 4 of Team Refuse. Over on the side, we have a battle kicking off as we speak. KT taking a lot of damage as well as X-Soldier, but German Milton coming in the corner. Try back to team up. E63 in that T54 lightweight, finding X-Soldier, but Milton gonna be surrounded by taking KT down. It is now a 2-on-1 here for this T54 lightweight. Not sure it's gonna go super well for him as he's trying to get as much damage onto Milton as he can before he goes down. Now turning and running Commander J coming to join him, but not gonna get very far as Milton finding E63, picking up that kill. And now Sublime Banana and Akula going at it. IS3 versus T54. Akula bailing off the hill to try to find it. And Cool Hammer now against what it will be. Commander J joining Canadian Impact. A shot going out. Nothing hitting, but there we go. Finally, Sublime Banana is going to find Akula, but Cool Hammer will go down. One more shot. Canadian Impact's going to pick it up. And the first match looking like it's going to go to Noble Gaming here. The first defense on Mines. Commander J going to try to get that last shot. Let's see if he can pick it up. Nope, he gets one more. Let's see if Milton can get that last one. It is going to be Commander J finding that in that T37. An early lead and victory for Noble Gaming against Team Refuse. It seems like we're going to have, well, I shouldn't say it seems. We're only 1 game in, so I'm not going to make too many predictions yet. But, David, let's kind of talk about that. We saw those kind of 2 unnecessary deaths down in that southwestern corner on the side of Refuse. Why, like you said, didn't they just apply cap pressure and wait?
I think they just wanted to pick up Dodo because he was there. And that's part of why Dodo's there, is to get people to do that. Yeah. Right. I believe, my guess is Noble's bringing the abundance of RU-251s for better shots off the top of the hill, as opposed to T-54, which wouldn't have as great of a shot. But overall, Canadian Impact doing quite a bit of damage from the top. Altogether, Noble just kind of lining up a shooting gallery there. Drogon and Memory Leak running into each other is it's
not good.
Not good. I mean, that's obvious. You don't want to run into each other and die.
Right.
I mean, it's like saying you don't want to lose. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing.
Don't want to lose.
Run into each other and die, and you're going to lose. So yeah, they just should have put on cap pressure there. Not entirely sure why they abandoned it so easily.
Okay.
Perhaps they thought they would be consistently reset, but it didn't look like that was going to be the case. Either way, a heavy throw on Refuse's part. So I'm not willing to count them out yet.
Sure.
Because I'd be much more concerned if they looked like they just got outclassed, like they couldn't have won.
Right.
But they could have won, and they gave it away.
Okay.
So good things for the rest of this series. both teams still looking pretty good as long as Refuse doesn't keep doing that. But we'll find out here in a moment when the next match starts.
Yeah, it would be a neat second now. And just kind of before we getting in, like we were seeing, I was going to start talking about Team Refuse being the last now undefeated team. I mean, it would be an amazing upset if Noble can come through and clinch this victory before these, the top tier in the points.
We've been joking. That's extra funny because they used to be called top tier.
Oh my gosh, I made it funny.
What I was going to say is, and we've been joking a little bit about the quote Nagatron curse and me choosing a team.
So
now, perhaps
true.
if I gave this Twitter question and cursed everybody at the same time.
Way to go. We'll find out, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm far more powerful than I thought.
As we're into our next battle of our 4th and final match, Noble versus Refuse. We're getting right into it. David, walk us through. What do we got for tanks?
Noble with an AMX 5100, 4 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37, already adjusting the meta so they can't be predictable. I like that. Team Refuse with 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and an MT-25. Now, perhaps suggesting that Team Refuse is also going to lose today. I think we've been insinuating a little bit too much.
Too much
so
yeah.
far.
Only one
it's
match.
Getting ahead of
it's
ourselves.
Only one match.
It's one match. We've seen them go through the ringer before and win in an overtime win. So they were a long way away from that. Noble on defense already starting out with a superior advantage in their just general positions, and the fact that they don't have to worry about capping, they just have to worry about preventing you from doing it. Team Refuse lining up again on the western side. This time a little bit more hesitant than they were before, and not a whole lot. Not easy to tell where teams are going. This is interesting, though. This is very interesting. Rude Awakening in his MT-25 here in the middle of the entire water area in a bush. This should pretty much solve any questions they have about if they get reset and where.
Okay.
Pretty much nobody's going to sneak a shot past him, and he's not going to see it. So they can go back and do exactly what they did last time. And as long as they get in the same positions they did last time, never mind. There he goes. He's rolling out from that position.
He's out.
And putting on cap pressure. I mean, that's just as good. He's leaving both of his IS-3s in the north, which guarantees nothing can slip by him.
Right.
So, different ways of handling the same thing. You're allocating less resources to your actual cap pressure instead of IS-3s. Now, Dodo and Commander J.
Same positions.
100 and T-37. Same positions, different tanks.
Yeah.
They can easily kill this MT-25 if they see him.
Now, one thing I also want to point out about Rude Awakening in that bush, a cool thing about that sort of shrubbery there in the middle is it's actually surrounded on all sides, so really a tank could just fit in quite snugly in there. But a lot of damage, a big chunk, 432 going out onto Rude Awakening in the MT-25 as he now backs off another shot, getting him down to one more shot. Commander J gonna pick it up, and David, you called it. I mean, Commander J and Dodema finding that tank and just taking him out. Now the cap pressure resolved on the side of Noble, getting a tank down. Memory leak taking a little bit of damage here.
So I don't know if everybody was able to see that. I was only able to tell by looking at the UI and just seeing who was reloading. I saw a very, very high roll come out of Akula, or come out of somebody when he hit that MT-25. And I saw Akula reloading. It appears that they're using a spot that we've seen against, I think it was 07 playing Maple Freedom, maybe? They're playing somebody. And they found a place of poking up over this ridge here in the middle and getting a shot on cap. So Akula utilizing that again. I believe it's somewhere around here. Utilizing it again to get that reset. So I guess that's why Team Refuse isn't comfortable in their cap position they were on last time. However, anytime a tank pokes up like that, he should be easily penetrated. Something is going to be poking out like a wheel or the bottom of his tank, which is generally very easy to penetrate.
Especially on those IS-3s who don't have the best gun depression. They pop out a lot more to you really get a good angle down there on the cap. Now we have Sublime Banana and Cool Hammer going through, putting some cap pressure on, putting two tanks, dropping it down to 46 seconds and counting. Dodo getting back in his usual position of that 5100, trying to get some nice shots in there. Let's see if he can unload. Drogon getting a good chunk of damage down there on that K1 line. Now down to 38 seconds, and now we see the move from Noble, Commander J, and Militant doing a long wrap around here, trying to make sure they catch anyone out. The flank is coming out with 30 seconds remaining on the cap timer. Team Refuse hopefully doing their best, but being a tank down, hopefully not looking like they're in the best position. Dodema moving into position. There it is, Akula getting that shot down, finally getting some damage in return, but he did what he was supposed to do, got the reset, and Dodo now just unloading on a Sublime Banana. Over on the side, Commander J getting some shots onto Cool Hammer, and these two IS-3s are not looking at them in the best position. I've just seen Memory Leak and E63 turning their turrets to try to defend the flank that was happening, but Refuse keep getting reset. The clock keeps going down, and Noble just looking better and better as this match goes on.
There's no reason for Akula to be trying to take the shot he's taking right now, as there's no cap pressure, so it's in his best interest to stay down. Looks like he's doing that now, though he was leaning a little bit more towards less caution than he should have had. E63 M6 pushing up against Commander J and Militant, who were in the north, trying to secure their northern flank. Militant running away, Commander J in the open. Probably going to go down to E63 unless he gets some support. Cap pressure back on Cool Hammer and Sublime Banana. A lot of damage just coming out on Team Refuse. A huge HP disparity. Militant and Commander J can clean up E63 M6, I'm comfortable saying this one is again in the bag for Noble.
Yeah, absolutely is. Milton, though, taking a good chunk of damage there. Well, it looks like from E63, and that team's for lightweight, but Memberleague having to back out, so it's just himself and Kula getting a good pickup, and now over on the side, let's see if Team Refuse can respond, trying to find Dodoma. Cool Hammer finding Militant, and they need to make something happen, and they need to make it happen quick as they're trying to claw their way back. E63 also picking up Commander J, doing a great job making that deficit of the health going back further and further in the side. But here we go. Dodoma being the bait again. It looks like no. Drogon going to pick him up. Let's see if he can get around the corner safely. If he does, that'll be another good pickup. Evening and now actually taking the victory on the side of Team Refuse, being 5-4 now with the tanks. Cap pressure applying. Drogon did get out of there. Canadian Impact didn't pick him up close enough, and now down to 16 seconds on the cap. EC3 coming up behind, trying to find Akula, punishing him every time he tries to take a shot. Now Canadian Impact going to join his teammates. Those two IS-3 turrets pointed up into the section, but E63 taking a lot of damage from Germ as he popped up maybe a little too soon. Canadian Impact's turrets, though, are face down to the south. Akula getting another shot on the Cool Hammer without taking any in return. The cap pressure is now down to 24 seconds. Keeps going back and forth. Noble doing a good job resetting it. 46 seconds remain in the game. Germ trying to find EC3. Let's see if he can make it around time. No, Germ does pick him up. He goes down. Now it's just 3 tanks remaining on this cap. And Drogon in the corner trying to get some good shots on the Canadian Impact. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough as KT finding, though, Exos or Kula dropping down. Not in the best position for an IC to be in. One more shot and he will go down. Let's see if he's on the reload. If he can find Cool Hammer, it'd be a great pickup for them. He has one more shot. Cool Hammer not finding Akula. The damage. KT, though, finding Akula. Finally, Canadian Impact, though, figuring out 2 more seconds. But the reset goes through. Drogon finding Canadian Impact. There's down to 3 more seconds. They just need to hold on a little bit longer. They are now on the cap. And Germ not going to be enough to find Refuse there. Finally, a win coming out for this team. I shouldn't say finally, their first win now against Team Noble 1-1. Good job for Refuse there, but what happened, David? Because that was a lot of back and forth craziness.
I mean, I kind of know, but I don't all at the same time. Like,
yeah,
that was
man,
just a huge throw on Noble's part and a nice clawing back on Refuse's part. Let's go to stats.
Sure.
Let's go to stats immediately because there's some interesting stuff right off the bat here. Canadian Impact. I saw one shot that could have won that game for Noble, or at least, reset the cap and prevented them from losing faster. And that was a gigantic whiff, and I believe he committed a Canadian Impact there at the end. 10 shots, 2 hits, 1 penetration, and that's just not making it count. Militant getting annihilated in his particular position as well, right after we said that as long as he stayed alive, everything will be fine. Keck Soldier
not looking good.
not getting in his numbers. The only person really putting up numbers this match is Akula, getting his resets, 100 defense points, 8 for 8. He's on my team on fantasy.
Oh, man.
I'm happy about that one. Drogon Pro's not, though, and he put out the best numbers for Refuse there. E63 M6 following closely behind Cool Hammer and KT further down the list. But just an absolute mess of a match.
Yeah.
And Refuse coming out on top. But it's 1-1. Perhaps now that both teams have gotten their throw out of their system,
now we'll see some crazy matches.
We'll see more of what we saw in the last match, where everybody just goes head to head and they both play well, and one team comes out on top. Because that was a mess.
Yeah, and also looking at the fact that Team Refuse having the similar opening, but it looked like not. We had Noble doing a great job of punishing them earlier on than in the last match. So we thought, oh great, well this is definitely going to be Noble's favor. But over trying to get Dodoma, those 2 tanks, I think the 2 T-54s finding Dodoma and not taking any deaths in return was a great pickup from them. And from that they were able to kind of keep going. Commander J not doing a lot, I believe it was on top of the hill.
There's like just a quick little difference between the 2 matches. Go after Dodoma, lose 2 tanks. Go after Dodoma, take nothing and kill him.
So true.
And then predictably, the one where, which one you would expect is the win and the loss.
Yeah, well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look. Maybe we should keep our eyes on Dodoma to see if he goes down or not, and to who and how much is in return. A lot of crazy talk I'm having. Can't even spell words right. Noble versus Team Refuse, our 3rd battle of our 4th match of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Noble going to be on the offense. Team Refuse going to be on defense. David, what do we got for our tanks?
I spy a Hellcat, but we'll get to that. Noble on offense with a T-32, 5 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Team Refuse on defense with a 110, 5 T-54 lightweights, and a Hellcat. Now, the Hellcat is a vicious little tank, and if you can get in the right spots, it's going to do quite a bit of damage. It's fairly fast as well, historically as well, but we won't get into that business. Noble pushing immediately on the hill with some tanks there for support. We haven't seen this in a minute.
Yeah, here we go. X-Soldier and Dodoma. Looks like they're going to go out, though. A little bit of response coming out from E63 and that T-54, but he gets some damage upon him as well. And again, we were talking about, this is kind of being the general idea of this map is, take the hill or punish your opponent for taking the hill. And I'm not sure that was a lot of punishment coming out. So Noble getting a good little, victory on top of the hill. We have switch sides, so Noble is on the offense. Team Refuse on the defense. Now, David, would you say the hill benefits someone mostly on offense or defense, or is it really just a little too complicated for that?
I'd say it benefits benefits offense more.
Okay.
But it's a very tight race, so whatever. It's important for both teams.
Sure.
But defense doesn't need it as badly, defense needs it more than offense does to prevent themselves from being split in general. It's like I said, man, I've said it 100 times. This is an incredibly complicated map, and every statement I make, I can think of caveats and reasons why it's not objectively true all the time.
Sure.
And this, more than any map, I mean, I can nitpick every little thing that you could say as a factual statement and provide examples of, well, that's not always true. Look in this situation. But one thing that is true, Noble getting ready to push down the 8-9 line with 354s. That is perhaps not a good idea, as there is Sublime Banana and a 110 waiting there at the end. I like the choice of the 110 at this point.
Okay.
On the corner that he's on, that little bit of view range that the 110 has over the IS-3 is worth it.
Okay.
His mobility doesn't matter because he didn't move anywhere. And he's a little bit more troll bouncy than an IS-3 is, as evidenced by the fact that he just bounced 2, maybe 3 shells.
Yeah.
His gun, he can snapshot a little bit more. There we go, finally taking some damage. But in general, on this corner, pretty much a better tank. And I don't know if you can even add an arguably to that. I think it's just a better tank. As long as he stays directly on this corner, that'll be the case. But if he has to go anywhere, that's when the effectiveness of the 110 starts dropping rather dramatically.
It looks like also Noble kind of realizing this as they take their shots to those T-54s, obviously realizing they're not going to do a lot of damage and now just pulling out of that village over there. It looks like they're kind of abandoning the eastern cap, trying to regroup here as Dodoma and E63 over on that hill, just proxy spotting each other, staying, back to back, staying by themselves, making sure no damage is coming out for either time. And also looking on the side of Team Refuse, not, they didn't get to, they didn't have to respond to what Noble is doing over there, which is, something I would assume is really beneficial in defense, is if you don't have to move when the offense is coming in to attack you, and you have to make the offense give up and try something else, as we've seen Noble doing as they're sending all their members now, not all of them, sorry, 5 members to the western side.
I think they're going to be a little bit disappointed when they watch this replay, but here goes.
There we go. X-Soldier now taking a good chunk of damage. He's trying to make his way through, but KT and Drogon Poe waiting for him. Let's see if there's an overmatch, or if Team Refuse can do a lot of damage to them as they're coming over, or these two tanks on the side of Team Refuse are going to be in trouble. X-Soldier getting a bounce on a Drogon there, and now they're kind of stuck behind this this sort of incline there. KT taking a little bit of damage from Dodoma from the hill. Germ coming out in the T-54 lightweight, trying to shoot Drogon Poe as much as he can, running into the edge of the map edge of the map line. And now backing off Drogon and KG, trying to find some cover there. Over in Dodoma and Canadian Impact, also trying to line up some shots in them. Let's see if they can make it out safely. And if they can, this will be a very interesting switch for Team Refuse as Noble tried to just push their way through, but taking a good amount of damage. Militant over on the side, Cool Hammer in that T-54 lightweight. But Sublime Banana, here's the response coming through. It looks like some damage going across there as he has to back out in that 110. Now, David, now that we've seen almost the entire map switch, Sublime Banana though getting extremely low. One more shot. Drogon taking 170, 472. If Canadian Impact can get this shot, he might go down. He's in a good position for it. 2 shots coming out against Dodo, but now Drogon looks like they're going to be their target. EC3 also taking a good chunk of damage from these tanks over on the western side as they're pushing up now to try to take the hill away from Canadian Impact, trying to find the overmatch that they now know that they have. Dodoma shooting again back into Drogon Pro. X-Soldier gonna be the one to pick it up, and now Canadian Impact looks like he's in a little bit of trouble. Dodoma trying to come back up on the hill, maybe trying to help his teammate out. Gonna stay down. Sublime is still 1 shot away in that 110. And Akula over on the side here, taking a good amount of damage in his tank. Rude Awakening gonna pick up X-Soldier. It is a 1 from exchange. KT, a back-to-back kill onto Germ, and now Commander J hopefully gonna pick him up. He does. He responds. A good amount of damage coming through, and now he's a 5-on-4 as Canadian Impact finding Dazzling Time. E63, this T54 lightweight, trying to shoot his opponents across the map, helping out Rude Awakening and Coolhammer find Milton. It's a successful trade, and now Canadian Impact and Dodoma going to try to take E63 as a response. As Commander J finding Rude Awakening up on the side. It's a 4-on-3 now in favor of Noble, and if they take E63 down, it's another lead. That's it. Dodoma finding that, and now 2 tanks just on the side for Team Refuse. Noble running in to try to finish this game out quick. Sublime Banana still being 1 shot away. Coolhammer, that T54 lightweight up on top. We'll see how long he can hold that, but it's not looking good as Dodoma trying to turn around, and let's see if he can finish up Sublime Banana. 1 more shot. He will. He picks it up. That remains to be 1 tank remains now. Coolhammer against Canadian Impact. Akula, Dodoma, and Commander J rushing on position. He's trying to do as much damage as he can, but I'm pretty sure he knows it is over. A shot goes off. It looks like it bounced. Commander J coming from behind. Dodoma, he's on the reload. He takes it. Akula, the double tap, and Coolhammer goes down. Another victory now picked up for Noble, which makes it a 2-1. The teeter-totter has begun. David, what are some thoughts you have on that last match? Because you seem a little kind of dumbfounded.
Noble making a decision that they got too easily scared out of the 8-9, and there's a couple different things they could have done to make sure that their push into the 1-2 wasn't so risky. But they actually played into what Refuse wanted, and then Refuse kind of gave it back to him. Overall, my only thought is this match is proving to be more awkward than a Paul Rudd movie. No, there's. Oh, well, we'll talk about this.
We'll
later.
talk about it in a break.
We'll talk about this later.
Sure.
Canadian Impact, 2,400 damage. Let's go to stats. Let's go to stats.
Check out those fantasy points.
Canadian Impact, nearly 2,400 damage, 8 for 8 when his shots actually connected. Dodo missing some shots on the move, but that's expected for a T54 lightweight. Respectable numbers there, nearly 1,800. E63 M6. Almost 22,000. Coolhammer, 1,774, and KT even 1,500. Just in general, just so many strange fights that whole time. So many decisions that were kind of good and kind of not. The way that Refuse came around
the village,
that fight. No, I was thinking down in the southwest.
Oh, okay.
When they're fighting on that island, the way I believe it was KT and somebody else in a 54 lightweight. They came around the top side of the island to try and box in and fire down the 1-2, and that's a great play, kind of, as it gets you away from the immediate danger and gets you a nice angle to start firing. But then it's very obvious that the 54 and the IS-3 that were in the middle will start hitting them.
Sure.
Now, the big thing is Refuse needed to have an answer for that as soon as it happened, and when they did finally get around to it,
a little too late.
It just wasn't good enough, and they actually lost that fight. So.
Yeah, well, let's see if Refuse can claim a victory and make it 2-2 tying up against Noble, or if Noble can get a nice 3-1 lead going into the second map. Ladies and gentlemen, our 4th and final battle on Mines, and our 4th match of the night, Noble versus Refuse. David, what do we got for tanks?
Noble with a T32, 5 T54 lightweights and a T37. Team Refuse with an IS-3, 5 T54 lightweights and a Hellcat. Similar lineups in some ways.
Okay.
Noble perhaps going for the hill again. Be interested to see if Refuse is able to make them pay for it more this time.
It looks like they're just going to let him take it as U63 in that same position. Ex-Soldier and Dodoma actually not being as aggressive as they were in this last fight up. They're kind of hesitating, pushing up there as they're spotting out Coolhammer and Dazzling Time down their corner, getting ready to take some shots off on him. Akula getting a good little chunk of damage there onto E63. Meanwhile, over on the west side, we have Commander J and Militant pushing down onto that island with the lighthouse there, getting, looks like a position set up to maybe put some pressure over there onto the western cap. Meanwhile, Ex-Soldier taking a little damage. Dodoma going to be the first one to make it up. He successfully gets on top of the hill, taking no damage in return. Dazzling Time and Coolhammer backing off as Canadian Impact, putting some pressure on. E63 himself backing off as well. And now it looks like they're going to, team from Refuse, being they, giving Noble that hill pressure. Well, looks like you see maybe come back on top of Germ, also going to join his friends Commander J and Milton over on this island as well. Now, David, looking at this, this initial lineup from both these teams, obviously a lot of pressure coming in from this western cap. KT and Drogon, I believe it was, same 2 battle buddies there in that island. What do they need to do? What kind of pressure do they need to put onto Commander J, German Militant? I guess they're on defense.
They don't actually need to do any. Yeah,
sure.
as you were just realizing and correcting yourself, they're on defense. Now, what Noble failed to do last time and has everything they need to do this time is to accurately assess how many tanks can possibly be in the 8-9. In this position, putting more tanks on the island is not the correct call. What they want to be doing, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Perhaps it is the correct call under very specific circumstances, but most of the time,
yeah.
most of the time it's not. So if they want to take those 54s off the island and push them around in the 8-9 situation with perhaps one more, that's a good call to make. They know there's at least one tank in the 1-2,
Yeah.
which means that there's less tanks in the 8-9. And I believe they've actually spotted KT there, or KT and Drogon Pro.
Yeah,
so they know there's two. So they know that's overwhelming in the 8-9. So that was the time to make the play they made last time, or attempted to make last time. Push all the way in against Sublime Banana, take them out. And on the way in, they'll be able to see Dazzling Time and Cool Hammer. They should be able to proxy E63M6 right now. So through all of these different avenues, they should know where the entire team of Refuse is, aside from Rude Awakening and his Hellcat. And that's irrelevant to them at this point in time.
Well,
he'll chip in some damage, but whatever.
It looks like, just as you said it, Germ, Militant, Dodoma, and Akula now going over to that 8-9 line and starting the push. Drogon and KT haven't responded whatsoever. Rude Awakening just sitting back. Sublime Banana and AC63 really the only ones kind of close enough to respond to this. And David, if they do this right, last time we saw them do the same maneuver, kind of set up, take some shots, and then back off because they saw, I believe it was Sublime Banana over there in that 110, bouncing some shots. This time, however, do you think that they're going to correct that mistake and just push with those 4 tanks all in?
Yes, they should. And with Sublime Banana, actually in an IS-3 right now, firing into this area, as soon as they see that shell come in again, they should be pushing. I think that's what they're doing right now. Sublime really stop wasting these shots, because if he fires right now and they show up, he's going to be kicking himself. Oh, there it goes. There's the shot right then and there.
And
he's about to see him coming. Fortunately for him, it's just early enough. Nope. He would have gotten at least one more shot in before they met his corner. That's a big mistake, and now it's a 3-on-1, and he is no bueno.
Explosion damage coming out. Actually, a 4-1 now coming out in this favor of Noble here. Sublime Banana taking a lot of damage. He needs to back out there, but X-Soldier and Canadian Impact doing a great job taking him out from that hill, getting him to a spot where he's extremely vulnerable. Dota going to be the target, but he's going to back out. Germ fighting the kill, and a great pickup for a heavy tank on the IS-3 going down for Refuse. Noble now getting a lot of damage on Rude Awakening over here in that K4 line. X-Soldier going to be able to pick it up. Now 2 tanks dropping. And Noble doing a great job finding these overmatches and taking them where they can. X-Soldier and Canadian Impact now pushing their way. They've taken out Sublime in the back. They're going to go ahead and see if they can hold Dazzling Time and AC63 from coming up on top of this tank, but Cool Hammer coming across in the open. Let's see if Noble can punish him for this as Dazzling Time takes 237 points damage. Here it comes, Canadian Impact coming around the corner, getting a good shot off on AC3. X-Soldier going to be the one to pick him up. Another kill going down. Still 7 members remain for Noble. And now the guns are extremely in their favor. They found the fight. They want it. Dazzling Time finding the first kill for the side of Team Refuse, but he will go down quickly to Militant, and now it is just Cool Hammer, Drogon, and KT on the side of Refuse. Cool Hammer is going to be the next target. Militant lining up a shot. He fires. He takes him down. Now just KT up there, who is healthy, but not for long, as we have a lot of members moving in on his position. And over here on the corner, Drogon versus Canadian Impact. Let's see who's going to win that skirmish. Just Militant is coming to back his teammate up. Militant, one more shot. Drogon does find Canadian Impact. Militant taking the shot, missing it. But over here on the side, KT finding Dodomal before he goes down, but then getting killed himself to Drogon. It is now, Militant finding Drogon, but Akula finding the one on KT. Noble picking up a 3-1 victory against Team Refuse here in this final match.
3-1 lead.
Sorry, 3-1 lead, not victory. It's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us, please. But, sorry, a 3-1 lead against this undefeated team so far of Team Refuse.
So after seeing that, now I've seen Noble almost do this before. And when I used to practice against them when they were the Cunninghams and we were Fulcrum or Fnatic, we used to do what they just did. There's a lot of different times in which they've done it. I've seen them do it. They know how to do it. But doing it as cleanly, as confidently as they did it, I just got word that Team Refuse just took a timeout, which gives us more time to talk about this.
Yeah.
To see them come out and do it as cleanly as they did it makes me wonder how much Friction has actually been practicing with him. Because I know he knows the ins and outs of that strategy.
Oh, okay.
As well as anybody. I don't remember exactly which one of us came up with it. It doesn't, whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact is, or if we've probably even stole it from somewhere, as most everybody does at this point. But it's what it comes down to. The biggest risk in it is timing. It's very easy when you're poking the side to side that you lose track of time and you run out of time. It's less of an issue. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, Assault and Defense has solved that, because it used to be timing in the past when if you were getting ready to lose all of your tanks, you would run away because both teams had caps, right? So you'd run away to make sure that you didn't lose. But in this case, offense doesn't have to worry about that because they lose if they don't cap. So,
so they gotta go for
it's
it.
even simpler and more fun. Wow, that's amazing. Anyways,
yeah.
Let's go to stats real quick.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of really interesting stuff going on, but Akula, nearly 1,900 damage. No, that's actually nearly 1,800 damage, just slightly over. Canadian Impact leaning towards 1,700. From Refuse's side, just not as much numbers as you would expect. Sublime, as we pointed out, really only getting one shot to penetrate after that whole thing happened, and that just set it up perfectly for what Noble wanted to do there. As we were talking about right as they were heading down there, we saw Sublime let his shot go.
Yep.
Which one shot on an incoming 54 can matter quite a bit, and you can't leave that kind of vulnerability without knowing that you're going to do a lot of damage to the 54s coming in.
Sure. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, you kind of mentioned briefly, Friction maybe knowing what Noble is doing and maybe would have a response to that.
No, Friction would be
on Noble side,
right?
Being the one. Do you think he might have been the one to tell his teammate this? Maybe they were practicing, or.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if that's something that the Cunninghams, or sorry, the Noble, formerly the Cunninghams. Is why I'm getting confused in this situation. Whether that's something that Noble already knew and had rehearsed. I've seen them do it, right? But they've been through some team changes.
Yeah.
Since then, so maybe it's something they forgot or whatnot. Perhaps it was Friction. Perhaps Militant introduced it a little bit more to him because he was also on the team that I was on. Either way, Noble, very good chance they already knew how to do it. But what I was wondering is because of the execution, because of how they executed it, in the certain clean ways they did it, I was wondering if perhaps that was the influence of people who had previously been on my team. But either way, who cares, right? Who cares why they did it? All that matters is that they did it and that it was a great play on their part. Refuse making that a little bit even better of a play with just kind of how they had their general positions. I'm not a huge fan of putting more than one tank into the 1-2 myself, as it opens that up big time. You kind of want to keep the other team guessing where one of your tier 8s is, so that they're not able to make that play with confidence. But I mean,
Noble making that play with confidence,
strategically, with major confidence, as they should have. With the amount of intel they had, that was the call they should have made all day.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again for Noble being 3-1 now as we go into our second map of our fourth match of the night, Noble versus Refuse. Let's see if Refuse, after taking this timeout, if this is what they needed to kind of get off tilt, get their head in the game, or if Noble can continue this winning streak that we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our battle. Noble on offense, Team Refuse on defense. David, what do we got for a lineup?
Well, for Noble, we've got 150-100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Meanwhile, on Team Refuse, 150-100, an IS-3, a T-32, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Not quite a standard on defense as we've seen so far. We'll see what they do with it. Meanwhile, again, not a really standard offense for Noble, but they are going into the southeast, and I'm generally in favor of that. The 5100, if placed in the right spot, can do quite a bit of damage. The T-54s, as we've seen, are pretty much great no matter what you do with them. That's not true. Most of the time, with what you do, I meant more, no matter what situation you throw them in, they're usually a pretty great tank out of all the options involved. Relatively high DPM, reasonable armor, and they're just generally kind of quick. Militant, backing up Germ, as Germ is doing a little bit of proxy spotting, proxy scouting. Canadian Impact, next soldier, moving up through the 7 line to get on cap and form the real pressure here. 2 54s in the southeast, and Dodo in a 5100, backing everything up. Let's see what spot he's using, because that could make a huge difference.
Sure. Now you're talking about Commander Jackson and T-37 down there in that southeast position. One thing I do want to point out, as the pressure is now applied even further, actually, let's just kind of wait on that as it's now down to 15 seconds. Let's see if Refuse can get the reset, and also how much damage Noble can do for Refuse getting the reset. As you were talking about earlier, this is kind of what this strat is all about. Now down to 7 seconds. EC3 popping out, but getting lit up immediately and not getting the reset. Now it's up to Cool Hammer. Let's see if he can pop it on the IS-3 and find the damage down to 1 more second. Let's see if he can pick it up quickly. Finally, the damage coming across. It looks like it was coming over the side of Memory League. A good reset there, but a good amount of damage coming over onto the side of Refuse as Cool Hammer continues to take a lot of damage. Memory League having to gather one more shot, and Cool Hammer will go down in that IS-3. a great response for Noble there. And David, this is exactly what we were talking about. It is if you put pressure over here on this, on this eastern cap, it really becomes on how much damage you can put onto the enemy team as they come to reset you. And it looked like Noble did just that. They put a lot of damage onto the side of Refuse.
Definitely with a whole lot of HP lead on their side of things. Ex-Soldier, however, taking quite a bit of damage trying to get off there. Dodo mostly through his clip. That's going to be huge. But Ex-Soldier goes down.
Drogon Pro picking it up. A great early pickup there for the side of Team Refuse on defense. Let's see if they can continue to hold this as Noble has backed off, taking cap pressure. But over here on the eastern side, we have Commander J pushing on the 0 line. Akula staying in the back. Let's see if he can find a Cool Hammer here in this T-37. I'm sure that's what he's looking for. Just needs to sneak out a little bit more, and he's going to find him. Cool Hammer not wary to this at all. Let's see if he will be spotted. Still unspotted yet, but Cool Hammer unspotted himself. They know he's in there. Let's just see if they've assumed that he's kind of moved out and gone on, or if he's sitting there. Again, one more shot. Commander J can take it down. Memory Leak, Sublime and now coming into Delta Village. We have Rude Awakening sitting in the enemy spawn. Now, David, his kind of position there, making sure, obviously that Noble doesn't come around and kind of give up on what they were doing and to be a nuisance there. Memory Leak getting extremely low here. Militant doing a good job, but now they know that some members are coming in. Cool Hammer going to try to reposition himself behind a teammate. Commander J taking a little bit of damage too. 242 points into that T-37 as the clock continues to tick down now. 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the side. E63 taking 212. He now himself is one shot away. Two one-shot tanks left on the side of, or not left, but on the side of Refuse Gaming on the defense. Now, David, who would you rather be right now, Noble or Refuse?
Ooh, I think Refuse has got this mostly taken care of, even though they've got the HP difference. But because Noble's up 3-1, I'm going to have to take the loophole answer that you didn't expect and go with Noble because they're ahead in matches.
Dang. Dang.
One thing I want to point out is Commander J got shot in the side through a gap in the buildings.
Oh, wow.
Right here. And this is what we talked about previously. This whole city block is tons of little gaps everywhere, and it's super important to know all of them. But we've already got action kicking off. Canadian Impact and Germ moving into the middle, going ahead against KT and Drogon Pro.
Absolutely. Let's see if these IS3 and 2 can go against the Drogon Pro, finding Germ. Milton picking up B63, finally in Delta Village, and now Canadian Impact by himself. Memory coming to join the fight. He finds it. Drogon Pro going to take Canadian Impact down, but Militant responding by taking Cool Hammer down. Now we have, looks like Noble, who is holding the Delta Village, but getting kind of pushed about the side. Now only 4 tanks remaining for their side against Refuse. The 5. Memory League finding Dodoma, but Akula picking up Rude Awakening, making it 3-4. With 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on this map, Team Refuse is on the defense. Commander J and Sublime Banana proxy spotting each other. A T-37 and a T-32. Backup for both teams on the way. Let's just see who can pop out and take the shots quicker. Commander J a little less healthier than Sublime Banana there. Akula trying to make that cross. He does. He takes a shot. Nothing happens. Sublime Banana also taking a shot. He misses himself. But KT in that T-54 taking a shot against Akula. It bouncing. Now some damage coming through. Sublime Banana coming around the corner, finding Commander J. And now it was just 2 tanks remaining on the side of Noble. We have Drogon Pro trying to make his way in that AMX 5100. He has all 6 of his shots, all 6 of his shells ready to fire as Sublime Banana fighting against Militant. Akula coming in against KT, trying to find that T-54 lightweights against each other. Let's see what's going down. Drogon, a good shot onto Militant, but Militant picking up Drogon before it goes down, but now it's just Akula left. Memory Leak, Sublime Banana actually getting a good shot through the side there, and Team Refuse getting a victory, making it now 3-2. Still in favor of Noble, but a good pickup onto Ruinbrig there for Refuse. David, let's talk about kind of that opening. One thing I do want to point out is, we looked at, you look at Refuse being on the defense. We see a very classic start where you have, send 3 members up to the north and the rest go into Delta Village. And it really does kind of seem, as it takes, it seems how quickly the defending team can respond to that push. It kind of might show how the battle's going to go. But it was Noble doing a good amount of damage onto the defending team as they poked out to try to take him down. How did they not capitalize on that? Because it seemed like it was going really well for him there.
That's the thing, is they really should have tried to capitalize on it using some more zero-line pressure after they forced everything out. I mean, they knew Commander J was there, and they knew there was pretty much nobody in their way. They needed to ball up some of those 54s and move them through. They had already seen that they lit E63 M6 on fire. That's a huge, huge pick for them. That's part of why he was taking so much damage to start out. Not really a whole lot worth getting into the overall stats situation here, aside from the pointing out that KT on Refuse's side did 2,800 damage. So he put up a ton of work, but nobody else really chiming in there. Dodo putting up nearly 2, or a little bit over 2,000. I think Dodo's position I personally don't like it.
Okay.
It's very risky. He made it work. I think there's a better position where you can get better angles into the actual into village there. But the big thing I'm noticing is that Refuse has a pattern arising on Ruinberg that could cause problems for them. When they go up north with that split unit like you were pointing out, as soon as they get pressure in the south, they're sending that northern unit way through the city. And there's some reasonable logic to that about making sure you're not being capped and getting flank shots and all sorts of stuff.
Sure.
But it's a huge risk. And if Noble just pushed during that time, Refuse would have been done. So if they keep doing that, it's going to be a problem. Somebody will take advantage of it, and they'll bury them on that map for it. Now, it could also work the other way, where Refuse makes it look like that's what they're going to do and then sets a trap for it. So beware if you're trying to predict that kind of pattern. Because right now I think the match is getting ready to start. Noble's 3-2.
That's right.
On Refuse.
Let's see if Refuse can claim another victory and tying it up, or if Noble hopefully can keep these runes on Ruinberg. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into it, our fourth match of the night. Noble versus Refuse. Now we have switched sides. Noble going to be on the attack. Refuse on the defense. I'm sorry, same size. First game of this map. Team Refuse on the defense. Noble on the attack. David, what do we got for lineups?
Noble with a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Meanwhile, Refuse with a 5100, an IS-3, a T-32, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. So, Refuse with basically the same lineup. And that's really it. Everything coming out pretty much the same for both sides, with Dodo and the rest of Noble heading into the southeast. Meanwhile, Refuse stacking up a little bit more on the zero line. Looks like they're starting to make a zero line play to try and intercept this. This could be huge.
No, I think only leaving KT up there on that A7 line to kind of maintain that village to make sure the cap isn't happening. Rude Awakening going really far in this AMX-12T, running through Milton, taking a little bit of damage, but Rude Awakening getting dropped to below half over here as he's going against Commander J, Akula, and Germ, making his way through, dodging shots left and right here, as now Refuse doing a great job responding to Noble on this. Now, Rude Awakening in a little position back here. Now, David, why would Noble just right now push against Rude Awakening? It looks like, to me, it looks like he's caught out.
No, they're going to pay way too much for trying to do it. They lose Akula and pretty much anything else they sent over there. They're taking fire from so many different tanks. It's a good idea they bugged out. Now, Rude Awakening knew very well what he was potentially getting into. In fact, that's what he wanted to get into. Sending everything over there would have been a giant waste if Rude had not gotten caught out. Now, Rude's probably just happy he didn't die right now because he was willing to accept it. Suicide Scout in exchange for that many hit points or a tank grab, absolutely, I'll take it all day. Kula is still a little bit vulnerable where he is, but other than that, Refuse is looking pretty. KT's coming around in a flank in a 54 lightweight, a nice adjustment to kind of the vulnerability we were pointing out before. Now we can get that F-line control, potential resets on X-Soldier if he moves up that way. Also make sure they're not being capped from behind, but it's only one guy to risk. Refuse looking very good right now.
Dodo on fire, taking a little bit of damage, but Akula going to finally take down Rude Awakening in that K0 line. You know, hopefully kind of relieving that stress of having that little nuisance back there. So one tank down for the side of Refuse, but a lot of damage going out onto the side of Noble as it's over 2,000. A health lead in favor of Refuse there on the defense. KT has now joined the fight. X-Soldier taking a little bit of damage without taking any response. So, David, I kind of want to point out, maybe we'll have a second here and really take a little bit of damage. If you do what Team Refuse did there by sending all of your tanks down that zero line to make sure you're not, you know, weak against that western cap, and your opponent just so happened to go for the northern cap, does that really put you at a large deficit, or is it still, you know, a safe bet, an easy back to come back from?
It definitely puts you at a disadvantage, but if you can mitigate a lot of that risk through timing. So you know if you see a certain thing by this time, then you'll be okay. So I guarantee you that zero line move would have involved a bunch of tanks turning around and blitzing immediately back to north if they didn't see anything in a certain amount of time. But if it is an all-out blitz, you are exactly right. It is a problem. German militant coming around the outside on the west in the 54s. KT spotted one, but did he see the other? This could be a problem for Refuse as they're starting to get flanked, and that's what Noble needs right now because they are down a lot of hit points. Militant getting shot once. Now KT and Team Refuse are definitely hip to what's going on here. They could theoretically take almost everything and just kill the stuff in the south, but that is not the best answer as they have such a strong lead. All they need to do is mitigate and make sure they can't be capped from either location and make Noble come to them, and they will win the fight overall with, I mean, nearly 1,800. No, actually, 2,800?
Yeah, 2,800. And actually, well, there we go. Remember taking a little bit of damage. getting in closer now, just a little bit over 2,000 points in the Noble. Drogon, though, looks like he's going to be the one to go up there on the AMX 5100 to make sure they don't get capped in the north. KT still staying back, making keeping Canadian Impact sort of in check here, as Memory League on T54 really low, going for some sort of scouting missions or just making sure he doesn't get shot because he's 1 or 2 more shots away from going down. Militant applying the cap pressure there for the side of Noble here in the final match. Again, up 3-2. E63 taking a little bit of damage. And now, David, knowing, like you said, if you have Noble, if you're in, Team Refuse's position, then you know that there's this couple. You saw Militant, you saw Germ going through. Why wouldn't you just take your forces and push over on these now 4 remaining tanks on the south?
You're pushing into people who have defensive positions, so you're going to take damage the whole way in, as opposed to just making them come to you and you're already on defense, right?
Gotcha.
Sending Drogon down here was a great call. 150-100 can easily tie up 2 half-health 54s, provided he doesn't miss any shots and provided he doesn't take as much damage as he does. Right now, it's looking a lot more dicey. Dodo coming over to support that western cap, or that northwestern cap. Coolhammer coming back to try and solve the situation. It's becoming messy in all respects, and this is getting worse and worse for Team Refuse by the second.
Yeah, fights going on now. Looks like over in Delta Village, G63 and Sublime Banana taking shots against Canadian Impact over there. Some fires going out on X-Soldier as well. And now we have Militant getting some shots into Drogon. Germ coming around the corner. Now Drogon needs to find Militant quickly before he goes down himself. One more shot and he'll do it. Drogon finding Militant, but Germ, a good response there. Memory League over in the corner, though, taking out Commander J, and E63 finding Akula. Back-to-back kills. Great for Refuse. Sublime Banana, another pickup. Team Refuse now finally pulling the trigger and taking these tanks down one at a time. Now just 3 tanks remain on the side of Noble. Coolhammer and Dodo going in a head-to-head battle here. The 5100 letting his shots fly as Germ maybe going to try to poke up and help out his teammate there, taking this IS-3 down. Over on the side, X-Soldier finding Sublime Banana. Coolhammer popping out, getting a good shot, taking Dodoma down. And now just X-Shoulder and Germ remain against Coolhammer, E63, KT, and Memory League for the side of Refuse with just 60 seconds left. It's going to take a miracle for Noble to pull us out. Taking the shot in, T54 versus an IS-3. If Germ can get the reload and get a nice shot, let's see if he has enough. No, it bounces off that front play of the IS-3, which is not looking good. And over on the side, E63 fighting X-Shoulder. Looks like 2 bounces itself coming out onto Germ in that lightweight. A shot coming out. Coolhammer needs one more. KT taking him from the height. He tracks him, setting him up beautifully for Coolhammer to finish this one off. He'll take it down. Another victory for Team Refuse, tying it all up 3-3 in our 4th and final match of the night. David, it seems as if Refuse have kind of found out what they need to be doing, and they're doing a good job at it. Now, walk me through what you were talking about. Has Refuse responding correctly, because they had a little bit of lead there early in Noble, and they weren't aggressive, like you said. They maintained their defensive positions, and we're just getting a call that Noble now are taking the timeout, which is now we're just going back and forth. These 2 teams, Noble, a team who was up 3-1, now tying it up 3-3.
Cool them off.
Cool them off.
They're obviously coming back hot. Cool
Yeah.
them off. That was again. That was a pretty good. What's the word I'm looking for? A good timeout.
Okay.
On the side of Refuse, obviously allowing them to come back.
Yeah.
And apparently getting even better. Let's see if it works out the same for Noble.
Yeah, if it does, they're gonna win.
If they were able to rally. Well, you just called it definitively.
No, I said if it works as it did
if it works
for Refuse, they're going to win. I'm not saying they're going to win.
I thought you said yeah, they're going to win.
Timeouts mean wins,
man.
obviously.
Getting ahead of yourself a little bit.
Let's see.
But yeah, great play overall from Refuse, getting a lot of different picks, different situations. Smart response in the north. I think the north went a little bit messier than they intended, but they got all the trades they wanted. While we were focused on KT taking out an IS-3, like 3 or 4 different tanks went down all over the place. So clearly, Refuse just sort of coiling up, like a cobra getting ready to strike, or any other cheesy metaphor you want to come up with. So let's go to stats before we just get completely out of hand.
Let's do it
with our phrasing. Now, Sublime Banana, really the king of Refuse right now.
Wow.
With that kind of carry. 16 shots, of which 15 hit, of which 12 penetrated. That's a pretty beastly performance in a T-32 on this map. Great job. That alone was enough damage to win the match, or create a disparity that mattered. Coolhammer doing a pretty good job as well. KT, Drogon, E63, everybody else kind of dropping off. More of the all-stars that you would expect not thriving in that match.
Okay.
Except for Akula, who is definitely in the back farming his damage.
Yeah.
I think that's his job overall on the team. I'd have to kind of watch everything a little bit more to comment on that more clearly. Dodo, 5 for 5, of the shots that he hit in the 5100. Again, as long as he hit 5 in the 5100,
calling it good.
I'm not sure if I would say 5 out of 8 is good, but it's good enough, right? And I don't know the other shots that he took. I didn't ride his tank the entire time. There's a chance that he was just throwing him out there trying to support a teammate who was going down, and it was a situation where he better throw it. And if he didn't, the guy was going to die. And if he did, maybe he could save him.
Right.
So I'm not willing to judge Dodo for that. As he played pretty well in the match before that, or the match before that. Either way, he's been playing pretty well tonight.
Very well.
So overall, Refuse tying it back up with Noble.
Yeah.
And things are getting interesting.
That's right. As we're going into now our 7th battle of our 4th match of the night. Noble just coming off of a timeout. Let's see if it works out for him, ladies and gentlemen. We're into our battle. We have now switched sides. Noble's going to be on the defense. Refuse on the offense. Let's see who's going to take this next one. David, walk us through. What do we got for tanks?
Noble on defense with 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Meanwhile, Team Refuse hoping to jam in a win on offense with a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an MT-25.
Now, David, going into these, this next battle coming up, we talked about it before, but for maybe people who were just newer to this or watching this, Ruinberg, what side do you believe it favors, offense or defense?
I think it favors defense by a hair.
Okay, so pretty balanced.
It is very, very balanced. Now, ooh, rude.
Ooh.
Taking a shot off his rear wheel, and it didn't penetrate. Somebody's mad about that. On Noble's side. A little bit distracted, running square into a building. It happens. I've done it, and I was considered good at my tank. Let's see. Noble coming down on the 0 line. So what we were talking about is which side is better. And I think that offense is better in the south.
Okay.
And defense is better in the north. But if you wanted to stack up, pros and cons of both sides, I think defense takes it by a hair on this map. It's a very balanced map overall.
Great. Now we have the startup side in this K0 line. We have Milton, the T-54, getting a lot of damage onto E63 in that lightweight. Overall, over in Delta Village, we have Dodo, Canadian, Akula, and Germ getting some nice positions there. Cool Hammer. Drogon now just sitting the city. They're sitting Drogon back, it looks like. And only Commander J now, who is also moving in, needs to be careful because if he runs into this AMX 100, it's not going to be a pretty sight for him, but he's going to do a good job doing what he's supposed to be doing, just scouting here as cap pressure has been applied. Now let's see how Refuse can do, punishing Noble for trying to pop out and get the resets here. Commander J and Drogon getting extremely close together in that city there. Not sure if any one of them has spotted each other, but Cool Hammer is still maintaining his position. That's X-Soldier and Canadian this IS-3. Now looking, David, back into this K0 line over here where we have KT and E63 going against Militant. How important is it for Team Refuse to take down Militant before anything happens? Or is he just kind of in his own little world there, and they can just focus on the task at hand, which is taking out Delta Village?
They can get him once the action kicks off.
Okay.
But Team Refuse does not want to be going ballistic to try and get him right now. That's a great way to die. Is trying to be baited in his position. Once he's gotten there, you pretty much just let him be.
Okay.
Took me a second to actually dial in on what you were talking about because I was so focused on this situation with Drogon and Commander J.
Yeah, in the city there.
Going on over here in the city. I mean, neither one knows the other's there, and they are so close to each other. Commander J shooting at something.
Looks like he's maybe in the corner there. Perhaps Cool Hammer maybe thought he was, but if Cool Hammer saw that now, they have a good inclination that there is a tank there. 26 seconds now. It looks like Noble is going to be on the move, finding Rude Awakening. Let's see if the damage comes out. A lot of damage. Good crossfire. And focus going down. Akula finding Rude Awakening. Rude Awakening going down from that beautiful focus fire there, coming out for the side of Noble. Now, Canadian impact, though, and a lot of damage as he has to back out. Trying to get around the corner. KT taking a shot, just barely missing him. And, a little bit of damage there, kind of going back and forth. The health only 400. Difference between these two teams now at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but Noble did what they were supposed to do, what they needed to do. They got the pressure off, and they also got a kill for it, and allowing Militant to still sit back there. Dodo in that 5100 on the reload. Now Commander J taking some shots off on a Drogon. The fight coming back. The AMX 5100 against a T-37. The chase is on. Let's see what happens if Commander J goes through. A shot goes out. More than half of his health gets dropped. Drogon Poe looks like he just needs one more to take him out. Finally, Commander J doing his best as he's trying to dodge around these buildings left and right. A shot getting set up. No, one more shot, and he'll go down. Drogon trying to find it. He does. Drogon taking Commander J. Now a 1-for-1 exchange. We have 6 on 6, ladies and gentlemen. Noble versus Team Refuse, and it's all tied up. A very balanced match indeed. E63 taking a little bit of damage there from Militant, I believe it was, who popped up and took a shot. Canadian Impact extremely low. He, I can guarantee you, is one shot away in that IS-3. But Germ coming over the corner, taking KT, and the push has happened as Akula finding EC3 back-to-back kills. An extremely aggressive and well-timed out play for Noble there. And Akula finding Memory League. A lot of damage going through. Germ picking up again. Noble, kill after kill. Finally, Sublime is trying to put an end to that rampage that Noble was going on, picking up a kill for himself, but it is now 5-3 in favor of Noble, and the clock is ticking down. Noble on defense, Refuse on offense, offense being the ones who have to cap, or defense will take it. Sublime Banana and Coolhammer just sitting there back in those IS-3s. Coolhammer making his way up and taking a lot of shots from Canadian Impact there. X-Soldier looks like he's going to pop out along with Akula. They want to take this takedown quick to make sure they can guarantee a track goes through. Another shot from Canadian Impact, just missing him. Also over in the north, we have Dodo in that AMX 5100 coming around. Looks like he's trying to find Sublime Banana. Let's see if Drogon can help him out. Coolhammer in a bit of a pickle himself. Here comes a fight between the AMX 5100 and the IS-3. Dodo against Sublime Banana. Akula finding Coolhammer. And now it's just Sublime and Drogon for the side of Refuse. Germ, X-Soldier making their way in to help out the team. Drogon taking a good chunk of damage. X-Soldier picking him off, and now it's just Sublime Banana. It looks like this one is going to go to Noble as Akula comes around the corner. Sublime Banana a lot less health than Akula there. The IS-3 though going to do a lot more damage to T-54 than taking. But let's see if he's going to actually respond at all as Dodo's going to surround the side. Germ and X-Soldier moving their way in. Not sure why. No, there it is. Finally, damage coming out. One more shot. He will go down. Dodo's going to pick it up. And another victory. Now 4 for the side of Noble against Refuse here on to Ruinberg. Let's walk through that because I feel like a lot happened there. I mean, it was a very drawn-out game. A lot was happening kind of all over the map. Talk to me about the highlights you saw from, maybe start with Noble coming out there.
So what I saw there, I'm going to double-check before I misspeak.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Drogon Pro chasing after Commander J.
Yeah.
Now, this is a perfect situation for a scout. This is what you want. Now, a lot of people are very afraid of that. They're like, I don't want to lose my scout. No. Perfectly fine.
Okay.
If a 5100 is going to spend his time and 4 shots chasing after your scout on the completely other side of the map, great.
You've done your job.
Perfect. Because then you can ball up. They had a Militant, fortunately, still in the southeast, making sure that the zero line was relatively hard to spot. So Noble just took a bunch of tanks and dumped them directly onto a mismatch there in the southeast because they knew a 5100 was way out of the fight and clipping or only had 2 shots left. Either way, that's a net positive situation for them. It was a very intelligent call, just deductive reasoning, collapse on top of it. Best play I've seen of this match so far.
Yeah,
so if they can keep that up, Noble will take this all the way. But we'll see if Refuse has a response when they come back out because these two are going blow for blow every one of these matches.
Absolutely. And it looks like these timeouts are working for both those teams as Noble getting a victory, now just needing one more here as they are 4-3 up against their 4th and final match. David, one thing I also want to talk about, like you were saying, the decisive push of Noble to go over that side and take the overmatch where they found it. Being a Refuse there, if you are chasing that scout, is it okay just to leave him alone? Can you just like drive off and go, all right, I'm going to take some damage, but I need to go be with my team, or is that not worth it at that point?
If you drive away and you don't deal with the scout's going to control you the whole way back, and you're going to take a ton of damage, possibly lose an engine, an ammo rack, a driver, or have a fire happen, whatever. You get in that situation, you have to deal with them for the most part.
Wow.
Or bring something else to come deal with them, but you get the same problems. What needed to happen for Refuse is they needed to make sure that they weren't exposed in the east when they were dealing with stuff in the west.
Sure. Yeah. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if Noble can finalize this victory over Team Refuse, defeating an undefeated team, or if Team Refuse can come back and win the next 2 to maintain their spot at the top of our leaderboards. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into it, 4-3, Noble versus Refuse. Let's take a look at those tanks and see what we got for our lineups.
Noble trying to seal their overall victory with 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54s, and a T-37. Meanwhile, Team Refuse with 1 IS-3, 5 T-54 lightweights, and an MT-25. They love that MT-25. It's paid out for them in the past. See if it does again. A hard F-road push. It's a bold move, Christian.
Well, let's see what's happening as Akula takes a shot off on Rude Awakening, but misses the shot here in that M25 as he moves on his way. Akula getting a lot of crossfire, but not taking too much damage in that T-54 lightweight. Again, we see Militant going into that same position down there in that K0 line as he was before, doing a good amount of scouting there, making sure that's not the best place for Team Refuse to push on. And now it seems as if that that F push didn't quite work out for them. They're again setting their eyes onto this eastern cap. Now, David, looking at being a team where he's going through in a row, Rude Awakening, taking a lot of damage, popping up. Germ picking him up. A great early pickup for Noble there on defense. David, what do you do as Refused if you lose a tank that early?
Press F to pay respects. It's a meme you probably don't know about.
Yeah, over my
Chat
head
probably full of F right now. The letter F.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you lose a tank like that? You cry a lot because that is a huge problem. That is your scout. Now you better have an answer prepared before taking any sort of risk like that. That is, if this happens, then we do this.
Okay.
However, whatever their decision statement is, it's not going to pay out for them because they are going hard into the A6 corner. Noble's already lying in wait. This is looking like Noble could very easily seal it up, although we've already seen both teams throw a match so far, so that is the only thing standing in the way of what just...
Whoops.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. As we were going forward, we blew directly into the back window. So we've got KT, Drogon Pro, Coolhammer going all the way through here, taking the A6 area. Can they pull it off?
A lot of damage coming on to Drogon on that T-54. He did manage to dodge another one, which possibly could have been life-threatening there. A good little position as they push up into the side. Just E63 remaining behind this little village here on that northern cap. As he looks like he's now moving his way up to try to put some pressure on. But Dodo and X-Soldier sitting there trying to defend the side. Memory Leak and Sublime getting some good shots onto that IS-3 over there. Another shot bouncing. Sublime Banana, though, in a little trouble as Akula, Commander J, and Militant going to try to find this overmatch that I'm pretty sure that they know they have. Running in though, but Commander J taking a good chunk of damage there from Memory Leak. Let's see if KT and Coolhammer can pick him up before he does too much damage to their teammates themselves. Memory Leak having to back out there. 231 points of damage, one more shot. He will go down. Canadian Impact going to be the one to find him. And now it is Sublime Banana by himself over here against these three members of Noble encroaching on his position. Two more shots, and he will go down. Commander J bouncing these shots. One more. There it is. Whenever I say two, it's one. Whenever I say one, it's two. Either way, Noble getting another pickup there. And now Refuse, just 4 tanks remain. Let's see if they can pick up X-Soldier. They do. They make it 6-4 now. But more damage is coming this side. Dodo with 5 more shots, getting a good chunk of damage. 342, 631 onto E63 there. Noble looks like they're going to be able to upset the last undefeated team of this Gold League. David, your question coming in extremely appropriately today. Akula gonna find that pickup. Canadian Impact gonna find KT. And now just 2 tanks remain. Noble, they're on the hunt. They want to end this one out. Drogon getting extremely low. One more shot. He will go down. Let's see who it is gonna pick him up. Akula gonna pop out to take the shot. Will it happen? One more shot will go down. Let's see if he can make it. Nothing happening quite yet. No shots coming for either team as Commander J gonna find Akula. They're just going to completely ignore what they started there. But Germ, Canadian Impact, Dodo, going to encroach in this position. Militant just sitting in the back, maybe just as a defense position. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 1 tank going down. It is now just Coolhammer remaining. Noble going to be the victors of our 4th and final match, defeating the undefeated team so far of Team Refuse. Congratulations to Noble. And David, that was just I mean, there it has it. The three undefeated teams of the night, all losing their matches, and now we have no undefeated teams.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Man,
all in
Titans
one night.
going down.
All in one night. I knew I needed to get that question out before we kept moving forward in the season because, wow.
Good call. The Nagatron
so, again, no point in going into stats. What you see is what you get. Noble pretty much rolling Refuse in that situation. Several mistakes leading into that whole thing. Just great matches all around today.
Yeah, fantastic. A lot of fun going out there. The other thing I just want to point out from Noble, getting that early pickup and then just continuing that lead. They seem like they're doing a great job coming off some tough losses, but really clawing their way back up and showing that they also need to stay in this fight. Overall, a fantastic night. As David said, if you guys have missed anything or just tuning in, let's take a look at the scores for tonight. Up first, we had High Voltage versus 07. High Voltage clean sweeping 07, 5-0, followed by Team Rival losing to Maple Freedom 1-5. Our third match was Elevate versus #RU, or #RU beat Elevate 5-2. And finally, what you guys just saw, Noble versus Team Refuse. Noble winning 5-3. David, again, just out of the whole night, what are some of the highlights for you, or just the highlight of the matches? Because we had so much upsets coming out.
Overall, it's Elevate versus #RU. That set was so great.
Fun.
I mean, the Noble versus Refuse was great in its own right, but I saw a lot of mistakes that led to victories in that situation.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, anytime anybody wins, somebody else made a mistake to let it happen. We've discussed that before.
Sure.
But the overall level of play between Elevate and #RU was so good. It was so high.
Yeah,
I
a lot
loved
of, like,
it.
new meta
I loved almost every second of the whole thing.
Absolutely. I have to completely agree with you there. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to tune in on Thursday, this next coming up Thursday, July 9th, for our next matchups, as we're going to have some fantastic plays for you there. Up first, we're going to have Simp versus Synergy, followed by Lamp versus 07. Our third match is going to be Game Over versus Maple Freedom. And finally, to close out the night, High Voltage versus Rival. As always, make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, so you can take part of all this fun that we're having on the set, in between streams, in between games. Just give us your feedback on all the fun that you're having tonight. Thank you again so much for checking us out on battleviewer.com, having that fun experience there. David, any final thoughts on the night?
Great games by everybody. Great comeback by Noble. Maybe they're back in contention so far. What we would consider the top 6.
All right. Well,
complete havoc in the brackets after today.
Absolutely. And again, #RU putting a big target on their back, showing that they want to have a repeat of Season 4 where they were the victors. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone here at WGLNA, this has been David Williams. I'm Christian Toma. And as always, thanks for stopping by.